You know, when we talk about Malaysian tax, our minds usually jump straight to income, right? How much we're making. But what if I told you that's not even the most important part? Seriously, there's one single word that can completely change your financial world here, and that word is residence.
So that brings up the big question, doesn't it? Are you a resident or a non-resident? And hey, you might think you know the answer. Of course I know where I live, but it's not that simple. And trust me, getting this one thing right is absolutely crucial.
Because in Malaysia, that one word, resident or non-resident, it's like a fork in the road. It sends you down one of two completely different financial paths. It's really like living in two different worlds. So, let's dive in and see what that actually means for your bank account.
Yep, one status, two totally different worlds. And this isn't just some casual label, you know. This is the official line in the sand drawn by Malaysian law that decides exactly how your money is treated.
So let's be super clear here. Resident status is a legal thing. It's officially defined in the Income Tax Act of 1967, and it's got nothing to do with your citizenship or what passport you hold. Nope. It's a very specific set of rules for tax purposes, and once you're classified, that classification dictates pretty much everything else.
All right, let's cut to the chase. The part we all really care about, right? The money. What do you actually have to pay? This is where things get really, really interesting.
And bam, here it is, the Great Divide. If you're a resident, you're on what's called a progressive scale. So your tax rate starts way down at 0% and slowly climbs as you earn more, maxing out at 30%. But if you're a non-resident, whoa, it's a completely different story. It's just a flat, steep 30% rate, right from the very first ringgit you earn.
So what's the bottom line here? It's pretty simple, actually. Because of those different rate structures, two people could be earning the exact same salary, but end up with wildly different tax bills. And yeah, you guessed it, the resident is almost always going to pay a lot less.
Okay, but wait, there's more. It's not just about the tax rates. Being a resident is like having a key that unlocks a whole bunch of financial perks. And these aren't small things. They can seriously cut down the amount of income you're taxed on to begin with.
I mean, just look at this list of reliefs available to residents. You've got reliefs for yourself, your spouse, your kids, even for lifestyle stuff like buying books, tech, or sports gear. Plus, you can deduct insurance premiums and medical expenses. Every single one of these chips away at your taxable income, which is huge.
And what about non-residents? Well, what's on their list? It's empty. That's right, you're not eligible for any of these personal reliefs. Your income just gets taxed, period. No buffer, no deductions. The difference couldn't be more stark, could it?
So we've talked about the how much, but what about the what? As in, what income actually gets taxed? Well, your resident status decides that too. It basically sets the boundaries for what the tax authorities can even look at.
For a non-resident, it's pretty straightforward. You only pay Malaysian tax on money you earn inside Malaysia. Easy enough. But for residents, well, the net is cast a lot wider. You're taxed on your Malaysian income, and you might be taxed on certain income from outside the country if you bring it back here. So if you're a resident with, say, investments overseas, things can get a whole lot more complicated.
Okay, so we've hit on the big three: tax rates, reliefs, and the scope of what gets taxed. Let's wrap this all up and look at the final scorecard.
Seeing it all side by side like this really drives the point home.
I mean, just look at this. The tax rate, progressive for residents, flat 30% for non-residents. Personal reliefs, a big yes for residents, a hard no for non-residents. The income that's taxable, a much wider net for residents. Even things like withholding tax are usually lower. It's incredible, right? On pretty much every important point, the two paths split. And it all comes down to that one thing: your resident status.
So there you have it. You can see just how different these two financial worlds really are. We're talking about different tax rates, access to valuable reliefs, different rules on what income is even taxable. It all adds up to a huge impact on your finances. Which brings us right back to where we started, with that one crucial question. You know the differences now, but do you really know your status?